Pablo Lopez did great right up to the errant throw in the seventh inning that led in the go-ahead run for Cleveland. Unfortunately, Pablo and the Twins had no margin for error against the Guardians, especially at Regressive Field, a ballpark where everything seems to be less than Jake from Minnesota. The big series started out promising, but now the Guards are one win away from taking a set that the Twins needed to at least split. Can they do it Thursday? Even if you're not optimistic anymore about anything, it's still time to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every day. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team, yours, every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who remembers way back to Monday when the Twins scored 11 runs in a single ball game. I'm also a BBWAA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who I just know could complete a throw to first base from any of the 7 places in the field the Twins pitchers have failed to do so for an error this season. Or at least, if he couldn't, there'd be a valid excuse because he's not a professional ball player. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he is both. You can't find us at Puckett's Pond anymore, but there's always Access Twins and zone coverage. On the podcast this time, we had lots of optimism coming into the series at Frog Recess Field, but as soon as Pablo threw that dribbler by Carlos Santana away for an error in Cleveland's big inning, or maybe it was after the 3-run homer Brock Stewart gave up, I started to feel like maybe this wasn't the Twins' year again. Where did the offense go? Where does it go? Tanner Bybee was one thing, but the Twins got just as little going against Luis El Ortiz. The L must stand for light on offense because that's what the Twins have been this series the past 2 nights. Should the Twins work on a trade with the Blue Jays to bring back David Popkins as hitting coach? Should they raid the AAA team for another hitter like Carson McCusker? Before we answer these questions, though, please note that this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com to get 50% off your first year. Why are you waiting? Do it. Why are the Twins waiting to score runs again? They should just do it. Brandon Warren. Why aren't they scoring runs?
Oh, man. It's $1 million question. And like you said, the margin for error is so narrow that a play like Pablo Lopez throwing the ball away is magnified significantly. And I guess the more I think about it, the more I go back and forth on should he have thrown it? Shouldn't he have thrown it? The conventional wisdom says absolutely not. Okay. But Pablo also knows it's Carlos Santana running. He's not particularly fast. And so I'm leaving some potential for Lopez wanted to make a nice play. You can't fault the guy for trying. But I know we fall back on the whole, you got to eat it there. That's easy for us to say in that moment. Now, with that said, again, when your margin for error is minimal, these things stand out more. And might I remind you, I said the Twins still, I don't think, took enough advantage of mistakes that the White Sox and Angels made. And that's not going to fly against better teams like Cleveland. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, 2 reasonably well played or at least tightly played ball games, and they've both gone the way of the aggressors, the home team. And I think that there's a good reason for that. I think it's because right now they're just playing better, cleaner baseball. It's just better baseball right now. And even if you don't love it, even if you don't love how it looks, the Guardians, even despite the fact that they got smoked by the Red Sox, got smoked by the Twins again on Monday, they are still right now in this moment playing better baseball than the Minnesota Twins. And it's pretty foundational. It's pretty basic. I think that's what's happening.
It wouldn't for all of the the haranguing, not Aaron harangue that we're doing over Lopez's throw, the mistake that it was, I look at the lineup and I see Ofer from Correa with 3 strikeouts and 2 strikeouts from Buxton, and then a bunch of hitters in the lineup who, I've looked at the Twins lineup before and go, that's a pretty good lineup. At other times, why aren't they scoring runs? I look at the Twins lineup today and I see Mickey Gasper leading off, going 0 for 4, and I see Roger Clemens Jr., Rennie Clemens, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. I see Kersey, who's hitting 069. He made a great catch.
Incredible.
Another thing, how the Guardians or the Twins sort of toy with our emotions, and the umpires toy with our emotions, because Lopez had Santana out. That should have been an out, and the umpire was all of a sudden out to lunch. And Kersey makes the great catch in left field. I haven't seen a stat cast. Well, what was the possibility of a catch there? I know it's funny. It was one of those catches that Statcast said the batter had a 110 possible batting average on. Now, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's where they missed the mark. I would have guessed a catch probability of maybe like 35%, 30%. Maybe
that's pretty low. I've seen some catches that Buxton's made where it's been 50-55%, and it's like, really, that much, huh?
The way he stretched out and how far he ran, I don't know. It felt like one of the more improbable outfielder plays I've seen the Twins make in a long time. And maybe it boils down to the fact that I haven't seen corner outfield defense like this. And I mean, frankly, Bader probably makes a similar play. We've been spoiled by corner outfield defense for the most part this season. But I would say it was one of the better plays by a Twins outfielder in recent memory.
And that catch, and then even getting within, there was a drop third strike with Jeffers, and then a home run. And I think until Brock Stewart gives up the 3-run homer, I felt like, well, maybe they still have a chance here. It's only a run. The Twins bullpen has been, I wouldn't say it's looked vulnerable, but it hasn't looked impregnable in this series. And even in this game, it wasn't. They had action. I mean, that's when they scored their runs tonight against Gaddis and with Clase on the mound and at the end, and also with Kate against Kate Smith, who, again, I mean, one of these days, Vogt, you are going to pay for bringing these guys into the game. I don't know, Rocco wouldn't do that in a million years, and people criticize him for it. But I think ultimately that's why Cleveland ran out of gas last year, because it's April 30th. Use somebody else in the bullpen.
It's not a good sign that you're already running out of gas, or at least looking wobbly. I mean, with Clase has not looked flawless in this series, but he's done the job. I don't know. I mean, if he rode that bullpen that hard last year and it took all year, I think he's cruising for a bruising right now. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the Twins that lay it on him. But I just don't.
Maybe it will be tomorrow, but.
Yeah.
I am much less convinced about the Guardians than I was even last year when I wasn't convinced about them. So, God bless them.
I mean, they're less than Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor, a good ball player, and they just dumped him.
Bo came in with 2 home runs on the season, and he's got 4 now.
Yep.
So, speaking of Naylors, so there's still some weird Guardian devil magic going on. I think Bo Naylor is probably a better hitter than he's shown the last year or so. 2 years ago, he got, when he was a rookie, I think he hit pretty well. So I think there's probably more in that tank than
he reminds me of football recruits when that Big 12 team had sanctions, no Baylor. Sorry, I love Spoonerisms.
I sure do.
Yeah.
But it's can
you tell we've done 3 shows today?
Yeah. It's been a long day, but why don't we juice up with some advertisements, and then we'll come back and talk more about the Minnesota Twins. How does that sound?
No, I love talking about the Minnesota Twins, but we got to keep the lights on. And if you did not know, your Fire TV is also an Xbox. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25, which is so much fun, to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. I actually noticed it. I was thumbing through trying to fix the HDMI so that my little ones could play their little Paw Patrol video game, and I ended up having to buy a new box. But the gaming spot on the TV that I had kind of ignored all along has this, and it's actually pretty stinking cool. It's latest technology for elevated playing. So with Wi-Fi 6/6E and auto low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. And with 4K streaming, you can also watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Honestly, if you are not like crazy into gaming yet, you can really find this to be a great way to get into video games. Find out if you would like to dive more deeply into whether it's Xbox or whatever. Without the console, again, I can't emphasize this enough. No console needed, just your TV, your Fire TV. Head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV locked on to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controllers are required. However, they are available on select devices, including the Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, third generation. That's Amazon Fire TV, and get playing some Xbox on your Fire TV. Sounds like fun to me. How about you, Dave?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we back?
We're back. We'll do it live.
I'm just getting weird messages on my computer. I think it's telling me something. Luis L. Ortiz, we're back with Locked On Twins. They lost the second game of the series in Cleveland after winning the first one 11-1. Lost yesterday 2-1. Lost today 4-2. Hadn't given up any runs until the seventh, and then all heck broke loose. Luis L. Ortiz, the L stands for the Twins L. 596.
He's LLO, but it should have been LOL because of how the Twins were swinging against him. He actually looked pretty good.
I like that. That's funny. Yeah, but the LOL is on the Twins. You're right, because he came in with a 5.96 ERA. Rocco, after the game, was diplomatic. I don't know. Maybe Rocco is a much better, a more charismatic leader than anybody gives him credit for, because I was ready to jump into the Cuyahoga after this game, and I don't even really care that much. Luis L. Ortiz, 5.96 ERA, but Rocco says, well, he threw three different fastballs, so you got to get ready for that. He's got a four-seamer, a sinker, and a cutter, and that's about as good as he can throw the ball, which is, I suppose a backhanded compliment in a way. But Rocco's like, yeah, you got to win. We made it a 3-inning game, and you've got to win 3-inning games. And a lot of times against Cleveland, it's a 3-inning game. So some of it and some of the things that happened with Pablo were unfortunate, talking about the umpire's calls, and some of it was our own doing. Until that homer, though, we're still right there in the game. So they got that going for them, which is nice. As far as the offense goes, just one more comment here, Brandon. We're trying to get back to where we were a few days ago. We're not far off from that. He means hitting. The guys who didn't hit tonight, they're still in a good headspace. So tomorrow would be a good day to come in, swing the bats, even up the series, and leave town. I thought that was kind of funny, the way he put it.
Yeah, make a mess and then leave town. It was very nearly the first Twins-Guardians game since 2018 to be scoreless through 7 innings. And then, a little bit of traffic. You see Jose Ramirez doing Jose Ramirez things. No surprise if the Guardians are doing something offensively that he's kind of in the thick of it. And, yeah, I mean, it was a stolen base and then a slow roller. And you saw as Pablo comes up with that throw, Ramirez getting ready to round. And you can just sense everything about to happen. And again, like I've said, I still don't really buy into how Cleveland gets it done, but they get it done, and you can't take that away from them until another team does it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, get the sticks going on Thursday afternoon, get out of town with a split, and then see what you could do at Fenway. I'm not really sure what is a reasonable expectation at Fenway either, but I don't know. I watched this offense, and I don't get the feeling good things are going to happen. And I know this is a negative sport. I know that they're short a bunch of guys, but I also look at the Guardians lineup, and I'm like, the Twins MASH unit should still be able to compete with these guys. And
the Guardians the Guardians don't have a good lineup. They have a couple of good hitters in the lineup, but they don't have a good 1 through 9. And their pitching isn't that good. I mean, their starting pitching certainly isn't.
Nope.
The Twins are a better team, and they just seem to refuse to play like one.
Who let Cy Louie onto the stream?
Yeah, really. The Twins' offense is near the middle of the pack in runs scored, 18th. They're 22nd in OPS, 24th in slugging. So that's not that good. I look, though, like I said before, I look at the lineup they had tonight, and just tonight. Mickey Gasper, time to go. You've got to bring up Carson McCusker. I mean, why not at this point?
You put Keishel on the 60 and bring up McCusker tomorrow if you're me, honestly. You're getting far too little production from too many spots. And like the way I'd put it is, what the Twins do on a nightly basis is defensible. It's just how often it's happening that's not. Like, you're going to run into a pitcher, even a guy like Ortiz, who, regardless of his numbers or how much you respect him as a player and like how you feel about him as an opponent, as a fan, sometimes those guys are going to knock you down and hold you down for 6, 7, whatever innings. That's going to happen. It's just the frequency of it. I mean, it's unconscionable, and it's been at so many different junctures this season, with more guys healthy, with guys who should be producing. And again, like this is nowhere near as bad as this team has been as long as you and I have been doing this. But you kind of run out of justification or trying to figure out what exactly is happening. It's bad baseball. And when will it change? How will it change? I'm glad I don't have to have those answers, because right now I just don't have them. I just don't.
Well, they're probably, not going to get anybody new in for tomorrow, because it's a day game. It's the middle of the day. Hold on, I got a cough again.
No, it's all good. I think, though, that if someone's not meeting them at Fenway, whether it's, I mean, you're not going to, the fans will be like, well, why don't you rush Lewis? Because you need him. Like, that is the worst thing you can do. You compound the fact that you haven't had Lewis by speeding up his process. So easy for fans with no skin in the game to say, just bring back Lewis. But you got to do something. I mean, Mickey Gasper's going nowhere, and I mean that with all due respect. It's not there. And he DH'd. McCusker can DH. If you're not sure about him playing the outfield in Fenway, I understand that gripe. Left field is tricky, right field is tricky, and you and I both know center field's tricky, and he'd never play there anyhow. But the DH is an option. Get him out there. Even if you're just going to ride the wave of him being hot for now, and see if he can run into a couple, knock him over the monster. I mean, you got to try something. It's not too soon to say, hey, let's just move these deck chairs around and see what happens. Just try to kind of stoke the fire a little bit, because right now it's burning out.
I'm going to bring this up again. I saw the Blue Jays had some kind of argument at their game tonight, and the hitting coach, David Popkins, everybody remembers him from the Twins. He got kicked out, and then people were tracking the replies, and they were like, he got kicked out for what? Being a terrible coach? And this is, like Blue Jays fans doing it. So I was thinking maybe we could set up some kind of trade with the Blue Jays where Stet Schulte, that's not his name, Borg Schulte,
Borgerschlet.
goes to Toronto, and they bring back Popkins. At least Carlos would be happy.
Mhm.
I'm not really given to like emotionally tinged impulse moves, but I think they ought to think about making some changes with the hitting coach, because we're, a month into the season, and that isn't like a super long time. But I mean, he's been hitting coach. He was in the off season. He went there. We read all kinds of stories about how he went to Royce Lewis's house, and he went to French Guiana to it was French Quebec, but to talk to
Julian,
the second baseman,
Julian.
Yes, Julian.
Yep.
Julian some fries or something.
Yep, I was actually thinking that too. French julienne fries. That it works.
It sounds yummy. So I mean, he's been hitting coach for longer than a month. That's a little bit of a misnomer, and it would be a complete panic move. And I don't know that it would work. I kind of doubt that it would work, but I still kind of want him to do it.
Yeah,
I still want them to make a change. Rocco in spring training or opening day said our guys were eating up what the new hitting coaches were feeding them about. How to attack and, all that stuff. And it's not showing up. And we know that they're not short of doing something like bringing in Carson McCusker. That's really all they have left. I don't know what else they could do as far as there's nobody else in AAA that is hitting, right? That they could bring up. We kind of thought, well, maybe Rodriguez will be ready by now, but he's got like, thumbs and ankles that just are not attached anymore, so he's not an option.
Armando Alvarez, I mean, he played third base. What does that do for you? Nothing.
We're gonna have to be happy. We're gonna have to be happy with Jonah Bride, who maybe should have been in the lineup tonight.
Yeah,
and maybe Lee should have been in the lineup too. I don't know. I mean, he played. He had a home run. So
Lee was out the night before. Yeah, and there were people saying, that's certain. In the history of the Minnesota Twins, this is a lineup. This is a lineup in the history of the Twins. Kind of just understating the desperation. But we looked at the bench too, and there wasn't that much there either. So honestly, you just got to make do with what you have. And right now they're making do, but it's the wrong kind of do, because it's do all over the field.
I don't know. I'm sure they know that it's urgent, and they act like it's urgent, and they make moves with urgency. It just, when you put Roger Clemens Jr. and Mickey and Kersey in the lineup at the same time, it just seems like, did they all have to play tonight? I mean, maybe Rocco had an answer for that.
It reminds me of like the 2013, 2014 Twins, where they ended up playing themselves into Cleat. What was it? Cleat Thomas. Cleat Thomas, everyday center fielder. And it was like, oh, you have derailed.
Well, he had a good name for baseball, if nothing else. Cleat's a good name for a ball player.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't know. We're going to take our last break and talk more about our favorite subject.
Well, right now, my favorite subject is Monarch Money. If you've ever checked your bank account and wonder where all your money went, you are just like the rest of us, because between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes into the picture as your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in the same place, so you stop managing your money and start building wealth. Now, I started using Monarch. I realized how much I was spending on gas, which was even less than I thought, because we always take my wife's car everywhere. But on the other side of the token, we're spending a lot of money on groceries and food. Not that that's the end of the world, but it's at least good to know, so you can make adjustments if you have to, that sort of thing. And it's better than juggling multiple apps. Monarch Money gives you your finances. It helps you track your spending, set up long-term goals, everything in one place. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money using code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get half off that first year.
Locked On Twins, down to our final segment talking about what happened in Game 3 of the Twins series against the Guardians, a 4-2 loss. And looking ahead to tomorrow, bright and early, noon 10 time, Minnesota time, Simeon Woods Richardson versus Ben Lively, who's been a pretty good success story as a fourth, fifth starter type here with the Guardians. But and he actually has a decent ERA. I feel like maybe Pablo's was the game to win there, but they really could use a split. Is it a must win? I mean, the season will continue if they don't win, no matter what, and we'll say, well, this next game, now this is a must win. And it seems funny to think that May 1st there's a must win. But I really think for their own peace of mind, they can't let these kids get away with it again.
Well,
they need to take 2 out of 4 in this series, and the only way they can do that is win tomorrow.
I mean, the optics of losing 3 or 4 versus splitting, as minimal or as simple as it sounds, I think that's significant. And if you lose, how apt that it's May Day for you to drop 3 of 4 and suddenly be heading over to Boston. And, Boston's not going to be a pushover. I think I saw Garrett Crochet starting one of the games, so that's certainly not a fun matchup. And I know Brian Bello, who he can be tough, does struggle with walks a little bit. There's no gimmies, and nobody's going to, like Tim Laudner said, nobody's going to feel bad for you in the major leagues if you're not going right. And that's just kind of where the Twins are at right now. They need to turn it around fast. And dropping 3 of 4 to Cleveland, it's not going to entirely undo what they did against the Angels and the White Sox, but it's going to go a long way towards suggesting that if they can only beat the lousy teams, they're no better than a pretender in the AL Central and the AL at large, which is a shame because it's not a very good league right now. It's not a tough league. It's a league that every single team outside of the White Sox should have a chance to make the playoffs in.
I really thought that after the first game that things would be a little different in the rest of the series. But these last 2 games really have reminded me how things have gone against the Guardians and how things have gone in general the last 2 years. It's kind of, you expect different behavior at some point, but really the team has suggested to you who it is, and maybe you should just believe them at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm feeling kind of out of hope at the moment that things are going to turn around. It's surprising and it is disappointing, but they getting a split would go a long way toward, I think, everybody feeling at least like you're treading water a little bit until the offense gets going and everything's at 100%. Hey, weren't we just saying it a few days ago? Yeah, the pitching staff's going to be 100% with Pablo coming back and Brock Stewart.
Well, and the bullpen was rested, and the Twins had scored a bunch of runs in the finale, and then they went into the opener and scored a bunch of runs. And it's hard not to be – it basically just shows that you have momentum in baseball until you don't. It's more ride the wave than it is the technical definition of momentum, which could be neither created nor deleted. Just the vibe. I don't know what I would call it, but it's not momentum, but it's definitely like you can feel the tide change or the wind change when you're like outside in a summer night when it's about to storm. It kind of comes out of nowhere. And to go from scoring runs and a healthy bullpen to whatever this has been, it's discouraging to say the least.
Discouraging is a good word. It's just, you're right. They had the Guardians on the run after the first game. For a second game in a row, the Guardians had to use position players to close out a game. And then this rain delay. I'm not going to blame the rain delay for the whole thing, but that certainly seems that coincides with how things turned in this series. The Guardians made up a rain delay where there shouldn't have been one, and the Twins offense has been frigid ever since. But you're right. It seems like, maybe you have some bad feelings that you get over by bombing the heck out of them 11-1. But then the Guardians are back to their normal selves, their normal, resilient, ridiculous, get up like Michael Myers kind of selves in the last 2 games. So maybe the the Twins can just, at least for the moment, save some face and get another game in the standings with a win on Thursday. So we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, although it's really late, so I don't know if you're listening to anything else after this, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, which brings you every game, every night, all season long. And it's a long season. We still got 5 months left.
Yeah.
Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, such as this one, Locked On Twins, which is bidding you adieu after a very busy day in the podcast realm. So for Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown saying good night, Alexei Casilla, tomorrow. Sleepy time.
Make like a banana and split.